It is something of a kind of an education that might be given by the parents of a child, or uh, a teacher. If any child gets admission in a school and he or she studies there, so the teachers there, they would impart education, they would teach her. So nature was like that. Nature, she was growing up. That is, the first line is 3 years she grew in sun and shower. So that is the first line. So here it is the same thing. Wordsworth had been taught by nature. So he's saying that if I had not been taught, if I had not been nurtured by nature, the way it had looked after me when I needed it most, then what would have happened to me? Should I the more suffer my genial spirits to decay? So my healthy, joyful spirits would have been destroyed. I would not be the person I am now. So I would lose the, you know, the joyful state, the ability to appreciate the good things, the beautiful nature. For thou art with me here upon the banks of this fair river, thou my dearest friend, my dear, dear friend. Now, who is this dearest friend or dear, dear friend? Now, of course, I told you that when Wordsworth had come to this place, he had visited the Wye Valley in 1793. He was alone. But now he is visiting this place for the second time. But now he is not alone. He is with his sister, Dorothy Wordsworth. And the reference to his sister is like this: my dearest friend, my dear, dear friend. And Dorothy Wordsworth and Wordsworth himself were very close to each other. And uh, so he is sort of addressing her as his dearest friend. And in thy voice I catch the language of my former heart. So in the previous stanza, you will remember yesterday we were discussing how Wordsworth had described his attitude towards nature. When he was a bit younger, 5 years earlier, when he had come here to uh, look at this beautiful scenery. So his attitude towards nature is now being replicated, or it is being reflected in his sister's response. So she is in that kind of a state now. So thy voice, the kind of excitement that uh, his sister is now feeling. So that was something that Wordsworth had felt when he had first come to this place. So the language of my former heart. So the way I had responded, I had the looked at nature. So that is echoed by your response. And read my former pleasures in the shooting lights of thy wild eyes. So the way you are looking here and there, you are moving here and there. So Wordsworth had described himself like a roe, a young deer which is restless, which is always moving, jumping, hopping here and there. So his sister, who is of course younger than him, she is doing all those things. She is moving about, jumping about, and she is of course appreciating the beauty of nature. And thy wild eyes, your excitement, shooting light, of course the pleasure, the excitement that is visible in your eyes. And when I look at you, I feel that it is myself 5 years back. So my uh, former self is being reflected. It is being reflected in your eyes. Oh, yet a little while may I behold in thee what I was once, my dear, dear sister. So here, of course, he is uh, addressing her as his sister, and he's saying that let me look at you and let me feel, let me once again relive that experience. And looking at you, I can go back mentally 5 years ago, and I would look I would go back and I would feel that yes, it is uh, myself, my former self, that is being reflected in your eyes. And this prayer I make, knowing that nature never did betray the heart that loved her. So, and this is one of his very firm beliefs. Wordsworth always believed in the, a kind of a interrelationship between man and nature. So man might betray you, your close friend might betray you, your relatives might betray you, but nature would never betray the heart that loved her. So, if you are a real lover of nature, if you can appreciate the beauty of nature, nature will provide you with enough compensation that would last you for a lifetime. So, that was what had happened to Wordsworth. It is her privilege, it is her privilege, through all the years of this our life, to lead from joy to joy. So, what is the task of nature? Nature is glad to give back to us the joys, the kind of pleasure that we can derive from nature. So, it would lead us on. Our lives would be full of joy and happiness. For she can so inform the mind that is within us, so impress with quietness and beauty, and so feed with lofty thoughts. So, Wordsworth is here, of course, uh, voicing forth his intimate thoughts about nature. And his attitude towards nature would be, of course, these lines. Wordsworth as a nature poet, what was his attitude towards nature? How did he look at nature? And how does how can we appreciate Wordsworth as a nature poet in Tintern Abbey, for example? So all these things would be coming. We have to remember all these descriptions, these, uh, the way he's responding. So is saying here that our minds would be enriched. So inform the mind that is within us. So impress with quietness and beauty. So a sense of calmness, a feeling of beauty, joy, a calm enjoyment of nature. Something that is going to soothe us, a kind of a soothing, very beautiful effect. That is going to be the effect of nature. And so feed with lofty thoughts. So all the petty thoughts, all the material thoughts, evil thoughts, we as human beings, we are subject occasionally to such, uh, such evil things perhaps. And those things, those thoughts would be eliminated. So our minds would be full of lofty thoughts, that neither evil tongues rash judgments, nor the sneers of selfish men, nor greetings where no kindness is. So he's saying here that uh, nature will provide us with a kind of inner beauty, inner calm, a kind of enjoyment that would enable us to ignore the evil tongues, people who are slandering us, who might be slandering us, or who might speak ill of us. So, evil tongues means evil people. Rash judgments. We might be the victims of rash judgments. So, it would sometimes be very difficult uh, if we become such victims. Not the sneers of selfish men. So selfish men who always they are kind of snobbish, they sneer at other people, and greetings when no kindness is. Someone might greet you, someone might uh, wish you something, but actually you will understand that his or her he or she is not actually uh, he doesn't want you to feel that way. So it is not done with love, or it is not done with kindness. So that is why he is saying not greetings where no kindness is. So all these things which trouble us, the negative sides, the negative things in our lives with which we have to live. So all these things would be eliminated. Nor all the dreary intercourse of daily life shall e'er prevail against us. So the day-to-day living, the hard, our lives are hard, and how we have to go on living. We have to suffer. We have to sort of all kinds of things, uh, bad things might happen to us. It will prevail against us. It will stop us from achieving our objectives, from going further forward, progressing. But we would not be affected if nature is there, or disturb our cheerful faith. So our cheerful frame of mind, that would be disturbed sometimes when such things happen. That all which we behold is full of blessings. So everything will appear to be full of blessings. We would be blessed. We would be really wonderfully joyful and happy. We would be able to see the positive side of in everything that we would do. All because the kind of influence that nature will have on us, the kind of positive vibes or energy with which nature will infuse us with. So that is this portion, as you can see here, uh, from this, knowing that nature never did betray from here to is full of blessings. And of course, as you understand that Wordsworth's attitude towards nature, his attitude towards life, everything is blended. It is full of all these thoughts, and that is nature. It forms a kind of the foundation stone of everything. Next, let us move on. Uh, Therefore, let the moon shine on thee in thy solitary walk. So he is now addressing his sister, and he is advising her that let the moon shine on you when you take your solitary walk in the evening. Let you be bathed in the soothing moonlight that would have a very sweet and calm effect on you. And let the misty mountain winds be free to blow against thee. So go for your walks in the mountain sides, and the wind mixed with the early morning mist that would be coming down from the mountains. It would be a kind of a refreshing experience for you. And in after years, when these wild ecstasies shall be matured into a sober pleasure. So, uh, as you can see that uh, Wordsworth's sister, Dorothy Wordsworth, she is now experiencing nature in the same way that Wordsworth had experienced nature earlier, back in 1793. It was a purely a kind of a sensuous enjoyment. Uh, his attitude towards nature was different. He did not, at that point of time, find anything, any kind of connection between man, nature, and God. That came later. That kind of realization happened later for him. And uh, his sister, now, Wordsworth finds, or he says, that when later on, after years, after some years have passed, these wild ecstasies, you are very much excited, you are running about here and there, you are in a very uh, a state in which I would have, I find myself, my former self reflected in you. So the ecstatic joy that you are experiencing now, it shall be matured. So when you become a little bit older, you reach my age, then it would become a sober pleasure. So it would no longer be like this. You'd be able to enjoy nature in a different way. When thy mind shall be a mansion for all lovely forms. So a mansion is a building, a dwelling place, and he is saying that then your mind will be a kind of a storehouse. It will be something where, yes, it would be a place where you'd be able to store all the beautiful images, everything that you have witnessed in your youth throughout the years. And it would be a kind of a repository of all kinds of beautiful images and sceneries, like Wordsworth had done. He had carried in his heart, in his mind, the images of this wide valley, and it had helped him to survive during his, you know, times when he had been spending alone in difficult times. So he is giving a kind of an advice to his sister here. So when thy mind shall be a mansion for all lovely forms, thy memory be as a dwelling place for all sweet sounds and harmonies. So everything that you are hearing now, the sound of the waterfall, the sound of the river Wye that is moving in a zigzag way through the forest. So all the sounds of nature that is coming to you through your ears, you are experiencing that. So everything that you can uh, sort of see through your eyes, and everything that you can imbibe through your ears. So the eye and the ear, the two primary sense organs. So it would be a kind of a memory. So uh, this is another important word, memory. So As you know that Wordsworth uh, relied on this, and the poem Daffodils, once he had gone on a walk and he came upon suddenly on that beautiful scenery, a field of golden daffodils, a host of golden daffodils. And then he said that how uh, when he was sort of he had nothing to do, he was idle, or he was not thinking of anything in particular, those images would come back to him. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. So those are the last two lines. And that's the thing that he's saying here. Thy memory be as a dwelling place for all sweet sounds and harmonies. So the harmony between nature and man, God's presence in nature. So everything will be there in your heart. It will be there. You will carry it inside you. And it will be something that will, of course, give you sustenance. It will nurture you. It be a kind of a nourishment for you. Oh, then, if solitude or fear or pain or grief should be thy portion, with what healing thoughts of tender joy wilt thou remember me? So he's saying here that if during those times, if like myself you are left alone, you do not have anyone to turn to, or you are fearful, you are in pain, you are suffering, you are sad for some reason or the other, should be thy portion. That is, if all these negative things assail you, so obviously, with what healing thoughts of tender joy wilt thou remember me, and these my exhortations. So my exhortations, my pleas, my sort of the way I am uh, asking you, I'm requesting you to nurture yourself, nurture the sights and sounds of nature. So you will think about me then, and you will be delighted to think about the way uh, I had talked to you. Nor, perchance, if I should be where I no more can hear thy voice, nor catch from thy wild eyes these gleams of past existence, wilt thou then forget that on the banks of this delightful stream we stood together? So he's thinking of the future, uh, of a time when, of course, Dorothy Wordsworth was younger to uh, him, and he's thinking of a time when he will no longer be here, he will no longer be there with her, and he will not be able to hear her voice, or he will not be able to look at her wild ecstasy, her enjoyment of nature. Will you forget me? And will you forget this uh, this experience, how we had together stood here on the banks of this river, and that I, so long a worshipper of nature, hither came unwearied in that service. So he is referring to himself. Wordsworth, we all know, he is the quintessential poet of nature, and he refers to himself as a worshipper of nature. So, whom do you worship? You worship a god. You only worship a god. You do not worship any other thing. But for Wordsworth, it is nature. So nature is like God. It is nature is infused with a divine power. So he is a worshipper of nature, and he has come here unwearied. He is not for one moment He does not fail to worship nature. See, he is unrelenting. He is always worshipping, or he is trying to be with nature. Rather say with warmer love. So this is a kind of a service, or it is a kind of uh, a love that he has for nature. Oh, with far deeper zeal of holier love. So something that is holy, that is that is sacred, something that is not just a kind of a mundane thing, not an earthly, a feeling that is infused, that has a divine quality, that is something sublime. So a zeal and enthusiasm for nature that is mixed with the holy feelings. So that is his attitude towards nature and the way he looks at nature. Nor wilt thou then forget that after many wanderings, many years of absence, these steep woods and lofty cliffs, and this green pastoral landscape were to me more dear, both for themselves and for thy sake. So he's saying that we will not forget also this fact that I had been wandering here and there. I had been absent from this place for 5 long years. I had not been able to come back here, though I had wished fervently, I had wished eagerly to come back here. And these steep woods, lofty cliffs, so he's describing the beauty of nature, the beauty of this place, and this green pastoral landscape, the rural landscape, that is that's really beautiful to behold, were to me more dear, both for themselves and for thy sake. So he's saying that yes, this scenery is dearer to me. It has become more valuable to me. I cherish this more because today you, my sister, you are standing beside me, and it is something that I appreciate. I would like to remember uh, in my future days. So this scenery has, or this natural landscape, the value of this natural landscape, the beauty of this natural landscape, the importance of this place has been enhanced because of your presence beside me. So this is the way the poem comes to an end. And as you as we have read, a long poem, but a beautiful poem. I personally feel it is. I have read some poems by Wordsworth, but Tintern Abbey is one of the best poems uh, that he had written, and it is not only because of the descriptions, the way he reacts, and the way he, of course, expresses his love for nature, his this theory of pantheism, uh, how the triad of man, nature, and God is established, his appreciation that reaches a divine level. It is no longer a sensuous, it is no longer a kind of a, at the lower level of appreciation. So it becomes sublime, it is sublimated, becomes something tinged with the divine appreciation. So this is our poem, and I think you must have enjoyed reading this poem. And if you have any questions, you may ask me, of course. I'll stop sharing this.